But before we jump into talking about Nappa, Raditz, and Vegeta, we're going to backtrack and discuss the Saiyan race as a whole. As stated in the Daizenshuu 7, the history of the Saiyans dates back 238 years before age, and we find them residing on their original homeworld, planet Sadala. During this time, the Saiyans were in the middle of fighting a civil war between one another. While we were never told the real reasons why the war was going on, it's most notably to tell you that during this time there was a Saiyan named Yamoshi. Yamoshi was one of a handful of morally filled Saiyans during this era. Him and 5 other righteous warriors would fight against the evil Saiyans, or so it seemed. Even though Yamoshi had a higher fighting potential than other Saiyans, the 6 virtuous Saiyans would end up dying because they were just overpowered by the sheer number. Before dying, Yamoshi was pushed to transforming into a Super Saiyan. His new power would turn the battle for some time, but even the legendary state would be overwhelmed as well. And it can be assumed that Yamoshi would have become a Super Saiyan god, gaining the energy from the other Saiyans for a short amount of time. We assume this based on the flashback scenes during the Battle of Gods movie that the Oracle Fish was using to tell Beerus about this transformation. It goes without saying, but the Saiyans have a fondness for fighting, especially amongst themselves, which would inevitably lead to the destruction of their home world, planet Sadala. Moving forward, during a 750-year time skip, some of the Saiyans were able to leave planet Sadala before it was destroyed, and ended up drifting in space in stasis while looking for a new planet to inhabit. In age 550, the Saiyans would land on planet Plant. Originally, the Tsophorians populated this planet, and compared with the primitive Saiyans, they were considered highly intellectual beings with an advanced civilization compared to even the human race. The Tsophorians and Saiyan races did not mix well, but both managed to cope with one another for the time being. Yet eventually, the more stubborn Saiyans would become tired of their living situations and wanted control of the entire planet. Age 720 would mark the beginning of the Tsophorian and Saiyan War, led by the strongest Saiyan at that time. Assumingly, that would be the future King Vegeta. At this time, the Tsophorians have developed advanced technologies, and in general, they were a docile race, demonstrating no aggressive tendencies or internal strives. Yet the war would seem to go on forever, without either side gaining an actual advantage. The war raged on for 10 years, and we come to age 730, until one specific night. Every 100 years or so, Planet Plant would have a full-mooned night, and luckily for the Saiyans, it happened during the war. That night, hundreds of Uzaros appeared, turning the tide completely in their favor. The Tsophorians could not handle such power and were completely annihilated. So with the extermination of the Tsophorian race, the Saiyans now have a new planet to call home. They would also end up changing the planet's name to Planet Vegeta after their new king. The Saiyans began to evolve as a species, as they had in place now a hierarchy with King Vegeta in charge, and more importantly, they took note from the Tsophorian society, understanding that there couldn't be any more internal fighting amongst themselves if they wanted to prosper. They would utilize all of the remaining salvageable Tsophorian technology to improve their own, and soon after would re-emerge as the intergalactic space pirates, conquering and selling off planets. The advancement in technology would also allow Saiyans to measure the battle power and potentials of newly born babies, so they were able to rank each warrior from birth and place them accordingly in the army. Now during Dragon Ball Z, we were only told about the lower class and the elite Saiyans, and later Toriyama had confirmed in an interview that there are also mid-class warriors too. The lower class made up majority of the army, and there are only 2 possible paths warriors could become. They could either be engineers or as planet infiltrators. As an infiltrator, babies would be sent off to other planets as the first wave of assault in conquering that planet. Now if they were successful, they could return back to Planet Vegeta and move up in the ranks. Yet the chances of coming back from these missions were very low. Bardock, Goku's father, was actually ranked at the top of the low class, while Goku would have been near the bottom, and clearly there are some flaws with this method. The middle class was stated to only have 10 spots available for the strongest warriors around. We later learned that Nappa and Raditz had held equal statuses, despite the battle power difference between Raditz and Nappa, and even though Nappa was also the highest ranked general in the army. And lastly, we have the elite class that was reserved for only 2 Saiyans, King Vegeta and Prince Vegeta. While we never learned of the full extent of King Vegeta's power, there have been several references saying Prince Vegeta was a prodigy, possibly stronger than his father from a young age, and the next Saiyan to fulfill the legend and become a Super Saiyan. As the Saiyans' new business expanded and news would spread across the galaxy, their prowess would not go unnoticed. Within the next year, King Cole would recruit them to his force, expanding his own empire. A year following this partnership, King Vegeta would have Prince Vegeta in age 732. King Cold would retire shortly after, in age 734, and would reinstate his son Frieza as the new emperor of his army. Not long after becoming the emperor, Frieza learns of the Saiyans' history and the lore of the Super Saiyan and the Super Saiyan God. He became worried that if the Saiyans' legends would ever come true, they would oppose and overthrow him. In age 737, Gine and Bardock would have their second son, Goku. Now, due to his continued worrying, Frieza decided to call all the Saiyans back to planet Vegeta in age 739. As we saw this in the Dragon Ball Minus manga, as well as the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. And we also know that the only reason why Goku survived the destruction of planet Vegeta was because Bardock felt something was fishy in the air and was worried for his safety. So shortly before Frieza would destroy the planet, Bardock and Gine sent Goku to Earth. Sounds like Toriyama took a page from the Kryptonian superhero's backstory. Meanwhile, Vegeta disobeyed this order and decided to stay on the mission with Raditz and Nappa by his side, keeping their lives intact for the time being. So now that we said Goku was sent to Earth, the original Dragon Ball journey begins. Toriyama first introduced Goku as a monkey boy, since his earlier story writings were heavily based from the novel Journey to the West. When Grandpa Gohan first found Goku, he exhibited violent characteristics and strengths well above his age. It wasn't until one day that Goku fell in a deep ravine and would suffer with a massive trauma to the head. But somehow, miraculously, he survived the injury and from that day on became the pure-hearted, genuine character that we know. Now, don't think it was just the fall that made Goku the way he is today. He would continue to be shaped from his adventures of looking for the magical wishing-granting orbs with Bulma, to the progress and mastery of his martial arts training with numerous masters, and most importantly, the core values that were passed down from Grandpa Gohan. Yet throughout all of Dragon Ball, we were never given any information on Saiyans or that Goku was one. It wasn't until Dragon Ball Z, during Raditz and Goku's first encounter at Kame House, that we learn of Saiyans, and how Goku was one of them and that Raditz was also his brother. We even learned that Master Roshi knew Goku was an alien this entire time because Grandpa Gohan told him about it. Well, that's all for the history of Saiyans, because going any further would just be retelling Dragon Ball history as we know it. I wanted to give a huge shout out to Anti-Metaman for all of his support, and especially in today's video. I'll leave a link in the description below to his Twitter where you can follow him. So what did you think of their history? How do you think the story would change if Frieza heard about them years later? And what if King Cole was still in charge of his army? Do you think he would have destroyed planet Vegeta like Frieza did? Let me know your opinion in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed today's video, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for post notifications. But until next time, I hope you all have a great week. See ya.